All right. So we're going to start
Let's
the
talk
show
about some
off really
comic
quick.
books.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about some comic books. Before we talk about some
Okay.
comic books, though, before we talk about some comic books, we're going to talk about our mystery pool that you could subscribe to and buy.
Yes.
So if you weren't here last week, we announced that we are launching a mystery pool mail subscription box. That's a lot of words. Where you can get comics in the mail. And for only $35 plus $7 shipping, you can get one store exclusive cover, which we're going to announce tonight, and 4 to 7 back issues, ranging from anywhere from bronze, silver, or modern age books. And then we are giving away one key this week. So if we hit, or our current goal is 25 people subscribing to the box. If we get to 25, the key we'll be giving away for the month of February will be Venom number 9, first appearance of Dylan Brock, Eddie Brock's son. So I believe this current key going at 9/8's like what? It's pretty high. I want to say, yeah, 180. So $180 key that you could win if you subscribe to the mystery pool, the Fat Two Guys Pool List mystery pool. Just plain Sarah just subscribed. Thank you, Sarah.
Wow, it's like I'm a genius, dude.
Was it 180?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So if you subscribe today, we will be giving away Venom number 9 in the current Donny Cates run, worth $180 at a 9.8. So you will be entered in to win that in your pool. If we get to 50 subscribers in the month of February, now this is a big ask, but if we get to 50 subscribers, Ron at Collected and Brainy Comics will be giving away, upside down, a Venom number 3, the first appearance of Null. And that's a pretty big one right now. This book is really hot. 9.8. What's it at 9.8?
300.
300. So Ron potentially will be giving away $480 worth of comics at the end of the month if we hit 25 and 50 subscribers on our pools, on our mystery pool. Now, the link for this subscription is not quite up yet, but keep an eye on our social. We will have that link out. Ron's setting it up on his website so that you can subscribe. Like I said, it's $35, which gets you one store exclusive, 4 to 7 back issues, and a chance to get that major key, possibly too, if we hit 50 subscribers. And like I said, the first book, Nate looked it up, it was $180 worth. If we get to 50, you could potentially win a $300 key. So that is a huge deal. We're super excited about it. And then the store exclusive, let me pull this up really quick just so we can show you. The store exclusive that everybody will get in their mystery pools outside of the 4 to 7 back issues will be another Venom book. And it's a store exclusive that Ron did in... I think he did it. I can't remember the name of he did it with some other comic shops, so it's exclusive to a couple shops. But it will be Venom 32, Eddie Brock. It's a connecting cover that everybody will get in this in February's pool. It's a pretty neat cover. So it's a connecting cover. The other cover is Null, and it's like a setup of like a Street Fighter fight screen. So pretty sick. I cannot remember who does the cover. Let's see.
Is that Kyle Holtz?
No. I don't believe so. Let me turn this to dark mode so I can read it. Shared exclusive with Comics Elite. Kirkham.
Oh, okay. Tyler Kirkham, yeah.
Tyler Kirkham. So that will be in everybody's pool. Whoever subscribes to the mystery pool, they will get this store exclusive, including 4 to 7 other ones, and then a chance to win those keys that we just talked about at the beginning of the show. So that is that.
By the way, the average going rate for that book right now, I think, is just under or at 30. So you're basically getting that book for the price of the box, and then all the rest of the stuff in the box is just freebies.
That's freaking awesome. So
or you could say less than $1 a comment.
Yeah. So we'll keep you guys tuned into this journey. We're gonna announce the link once it's out by Nate or by by Ron. And yeah, we're gonna it's gonna be pretty sweet. If you subscribe, you have a chance to win those keys. You get that store exclusive. Later on down the road, there might be more exclusives in the box, depending on like how many subscribers we do get to the pull list. But yeah, it's a really cool way to help out a local comic shop up here, and to get build up your back issues. Build up your collection with your back issues. So, all right, let's talk some comics.
Oh yeah.
Oop, going the wrong way. Yep, and boom. So we're starting the week off with obviously King in Black tie-ins, and our first King in Black tie-in is none other than Venom 33. Yeah. So Venom 33, I enjoyed this book, but I have a but, and I'm not talking about the butt that I'm sitting on. This to me, it's enjoyable. It moves the King in Black storyline, which is great. It shows us what's going on with Eddie and his ordeal right now. The only issue I have with it is that it just feels like it's Venom light. Like, you got Budweiser and then you got Bud Light. It just doesn't feel like a full issue to me, if that makes any sense. To me, it feels like it's obvious that Donny Cates' attention is in the actual King in Black book right now. That's really Venom to me, is like that's the real Venom story. And on this one, it just feels kind of I don't want to say afterthought, but it just doesn't feel like a full issue, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. No, I felt the complete opposite, actually. As I was reading the book, I got to like 4 or 5 pages in, that big splash page with Dylan yanking the symbiote off of Captain America. Mm-hmm. I literally stopped and had to look back at the beginning, and was like, wait, is this a King in Black book? And I was like, no, this is Venom. I thought I was actually reading straight up King in Black book.
Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying, and I think that there's kind of a point to that, though. Mm-hmm. We've always called this book Venom. That's what it is. But I feel like maybe a more accurate representation or a more accurate name for this book would be Eddie Brock, or The Adventures of Eddie Brock, or something.
Right.
This book is really about Eddie Brock as a character, who also happens to be sometimes have the Venom symbiote. Mm-hmm. I think that's why these stories are separate from King in Black, because this is still showing you what's going on with Eddie, while everything else that's going on with King in Black is mainly dealing with Dylan.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
And I have a theory about that, but we can talk about that in a minute.
I'm not saying it's a negative. It just feels like the attention is not I don't feel like it has its full attention. Like, a lot of pivotal things happened in this book, obviously. But in general, I just felt like I was kind of, what it is? It feels like I was going through the motions. That's what it feels like to me. Like, those, like you were saying, those first 3 pages are literally a callback to King in Black 3, with Dylan, like you said, taking the symbiote off of Cap and getting his shield, and Spider-Man going a little bit more in depth to his speech to Dylan, saying you don't have to do this, you don't need to fight, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, and it was just more in depth than that, and that was great. But you're right, this feels like this book should be called The Adventures of Eddie Brock rather than Venom, because he was literally stripped of his symbiote at the beginning of King in Black. So that splash page was badass, though. Seeing him go full, we've seen that already, but to have it, be depicted even more and with more detail was pretty kick-ass. But yeah, what's your theory about Dylan?
Well, I was just going to say that you and I have been speculating a lot on what Donnie's going to do after this run is over. We know 35 is the last issue, or Legacy number 200. I really do think, and he's, Donnie Cates is being very
Donnie Cates
overly dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, overly dramatic about, this is the last time I'll ever write a Venom book ever. Well, I think it's because Venom has almost, especially with his run, become synonymous with Eddie Brock. I don't think I think Donny Cates probably isn't done writing symbiote stories. I think he's probably done writing symbiote stories with Eddie Brock as the main protagonist. I think that there's going to be a launch of a new book with Dylan as the main character. Whether he's endued with a symbiote or not is something I don't think I can speculate on. But I think the story of Eddie Brock is probably done for now.
And do you think that Donny Cates will be writing the Dylan Brock story?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's his character, it's his vision. This whole thing has been his. I think Marvel has shown that they're willing to let him roll with something that's popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think King in Black has been successful enough that
we're
just going to let him keep going.
I mean, we had, once we got back from, like, the Diamond shutdown, we literally had Donny Cates books, like, every week. Like, it was like Venom, Thor, King in Black. You know what I mean? Like, it was going off the chain. So why would you stop now?
Right.
But to dive a little bit more into this issue, so basically Eddie is stuck in the hive mind of Noel. And they see basically Dylan, he's able to break free a lot of, Avengers and normal people from their symbiote or their nullification. So they're seeing all of these heroes and regular people leaving the hive mind, reconnecting to their bodies. And so at that point they don't know exactly where they're at. And so at some point, Eddie's able to go through some kind of portal, and they teleport to the actual hive mind, where they see, symbiotes storing other codexes, and like it's like a completely new, different world. And so they're trying to figure out a way to basically set those codexes free. And Eddie's like, I'm gonna do it, and Flash kind of says, look, this is the whole reason why you guys, got in contact with me. I was supposed to be the one that Rex found in issue 3 with the symbiote. And so now that, this has come to fruition and I'm here, I'm going to sacrifice myself to complete the mission. And so I'd say 45% of the issue is literally Eddie Brock and Flash Thompson arguing about who should be the one to basically go collect or distract or attack to get the codexes. And then he does it, and then like in 2 pages, our anti-Venom friend basically gets his hand chopped off and absorbed by Noel. Now this is where the issue does get cool. Somehow he's able to reverse engineer the symbiote that he's consumed by, and Flash becomes a anti-Venom dragon symbiote. That was cool. Like when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, shit! That's that's pretty epic." And so it looks like we won the day. We've possibly turned the tide in the Noel hive mind, and then Rex behind Eddie turns into Noel. So we don't know if this was a trap, or if that he was able to find his find Eddie within the hive mind and corrupt Rex. And so we're back at the whole Noel getting ready to throw Eddie off a non-existent cliff within the hive mind. So that's how the issue ends. And I don't know, like I enjoyed it. It just doesn't feel like, I guess my frustration is it didn't give me the oh shit moment. And I usually always have that with a Donny Cates book. And so I was just a tiny bit. You know what it is? It's not that I know what it is. It's because I know this is going to end at issue 35, and we're 2 issues away, and I'm sad. I'm just sad because I don't know what's going to happen, and like to not have an Donny Cates book, one less Donny Cates book, like that sucks. So I really hope that your theory is right.
Yeah.
That he will continue to write some story.
Yeah, I think there'll be a small break since we haven't seen anything in previews or about it.
Right.
But no, I think it just goes to show like how, I don't know, expectations can kind of drive a book.
Mm-hmm.
I think you went into this with a little bit more expectations and
For sure.
got a little disappointed. And this is actually the second to last King of Black book I read because I just was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And I would say that this is my favorite tie-in issue so far of any other tie-in issue.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought the Spider-Man speech was absolutely amazing. I thought the art in this book was bomb. I don't know anything about Flash Thompson, but now I want to go read more about him just because he seems like a total badass. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
So is this your pick of the week?
It's not.
Whoa! All right. Well, cool. Well, like I said, I'm not like, oh, I hate this book. No, I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's just, you're right. Like I started my pull this week, like reading my pulls with this book, and it just kind of felt like a deflating balloon. Like, there was, a couple blips of the balloon making a fart noise that made me laugh, but other than that, I wasn't overly impressed, and that I hate saying that. I hate being that critical. So, but I hold Donny Cates at such a high level.
Dare you?
Right? All right. Next up, continuing into our King in Black tie-ins, we have Gwenom versus Carnage #2, and so we get basically a little bit of backstory of why Mary Jane may be harboring, some ill will towards Gwen of Earth 65. And so what we find out is these two were in a band together, and that may have already been established in Gwen Ghost Spider. I don't know. I haven't been reading it. But basically, Noel has tapped into this negative feeling that Mary Jane has towards Gwen and has just fed on it. And so now she's Carnage, and she's literally wielding a guitar that turned into an axe, which I thought was pretty cool. That to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's cool. And this book, I can't say the artist's name. Flaviano,
Flaviano, I think.
Flaviano. Flaviano. I definitely dig this art style. It's like messy and very chaotic. I mean, very Carnage. I could see some people being turned off by it, but I really like the cover is not what it looks like inside the book. But it's like very it's very gross and harsh, and I really dig it. But basically what we get is these two arguing and Gwen trying to figure out why Mary's so pissed off and trying to get Carnage off of her at the same time, and it's not working out. And that's what we find out. We find out that Mary Jane is pissed at Gwen for leaving their universe to go to school and leaving the band. And so that's, I don't know if that's exactly why, it's part of it. I think Noel is taking advantage of those feelings. And so it's basically them just going round and round fighting and her evading, to the point where Gwen is trying to get the symbiote off of Mary Jane because it'll kill her. Gwen is able to do what she does with her symbiote Spider-Man suit or spider suit because she has powers. So she's able to fend off the suit constantly feeding on her. But she knows that Mary Jane doesn't have that. And so at some point, time's going to run out and Mary Jane may actually die from wearing the Carnage suit. So we have some stakes now to the story. So we learned that in this book. Overall, I enjoyed it. It's not my top pick for a King in Black tie-in, but it was just kind of a nice side quest, if you will. Just because I'm not insanely invested in these characters, but I enjoyed it. I wasn't like, oh, that was a really bad tie-in. What's a really bad King in Black tie-in, if you ask? Oh, we know. Namor. That is a horrible, currently horrible King in Black tie-in, whereas it's still connected to the story, but we're just kind of it's not necessary, right? This tie-in is not necessary at all. It's just a fun little side quest. I enjoy it. The artwork for me is what keeps me engaged.
Yeah, I mean the artwork is definitely the best part of this. This was the last one that I read because I was also not looking forward to it. And I basically blind read this one. I looked at the words a little bit, but You know, once it got to the part where it was explaining like them being in a band, I was like, okay, wait, hold on, and I stopped. But I mean, the art's nice. I like the art. I think it's cool. It's very different than I don't know the average house style right now. But
Yeah.
this is one of those tie-ins that I would say is totally unnecessary unless you are interested. Not bad. I'm not saying it's like
Yeah.
displeasing, but unnecessary to driving the plot of King of Black.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. So, what order? Where did you? Is this the first one you read? I think it is. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. No, Marauders was the first one I read.
Marauders. Okay. So this is the last book that I read in the King and Black tie-ins this week, and like the first page, and I hate again. It just turned me off, and I literally texted you. I was like, dude, I can't get into this book. Like, I can't get into it, and the reason for it is you're having this inner dialogue or narration from the Black Knight, and he's funny, right? He's trying to be funny and goofy, but then you're mixing in like old English, and I just couldn't. I could not get into it. Like it. I don't know. My brain. I'm just weak. I'm dumb.
No. I was exactly the same way when I first started this issue. I was like, it felt like I missed a page when I first started, and I don't know if it's because I'm completely unfamiliar with Black Knight, and maybe this is common and I should have expected it, but I was just like, wait, who's saying this? What are we saying? What's going on? And so I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna I did the same. I often do this with comics. If I can't get behind what's being said, if it like kind of bothers me, I'll go 2 or 3 pages without really paying attention to the words and see if the pictures are interesting enough for me to waste my time.
Right.
And it really wasn't until I got to the Merlin shot with Symbiote Spider-Man and Mr. E, and I was like, oh, okay, hold on. Okay, they're probably talking about how this ties in. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll try again. And I went all the way back, and then it was like, okay, just stop. Still, those first couple pages just aren't written well. But
yeah, and I think it's the same boat for me. I think the only reason why I wouldn't commit to that argument of like I don't know Black Knight well, he's been in some of the other books that we've read, whether it's a like tie-in character, and I'm like, that character looks dope, and it's written well. And I'm with you though. Like after the 3rd page, we really dive into a little bit of history, and again, we don't know because we're not well versed Black Knight readers, but like we get a little bit of a history lesson of the Black Knight and like who's been chosen by the sword and all this jazz. And so basically what we get in this book is we find out that the current character Black Knight is a psychopath. He's crazy. He's got a
little off his rocker.
Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? He longs for blood. He has a bloodlust. And so he's always thought that the ebony blade was passed down to like the righteous, like the pure of heart, right? And what we find out is that Merlin has been lying to him, and that the blade is actually meant for like a wicked person so that it can balance itself out. The blade has so much shittiness in it that it needs someone equally as shitty to just cancel it out. and I'm not saying like a murderer, but it's just somebody that's not chivalrous like a knight would be, thus right. Black Knight, right? And so that's what we find out in this book, that Noel basically tells the Black Knight, like, listen, bro, you're not this shining knight on a hill on a white horse. You are literally the Black Knight because you're not worthy. And so the blade feeds off of negativity and nastiness. But what's intriguing about that is that because it does that, it's harmful towards Null and symbiotes. So we potentially see a weapon that might actually have a hand in defeating Null in the actual King in Black event. So that's what we get in this book. We also get appearances by Arrow and Swordmaster, who I have no clue who they are.
I don't either, but I thought it was fun just having some really random characters show up.
Yeah.
I thought the inconsequentialness of it was it wasn't too disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like they were just thrown in there for nothing though. Like I was happy that they were there. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I told you that when we were talking about this book, like I could either way, you know what I mean? Like I didn't feel strongly about them either way, but I just liked the history lesson that we did get in the book once you actually like get past the funny dialogue and King or the Black Knight trying to be something that he's not. And so, finding out that history about him and then him going like Super Saiyan and getting the blade and defeating a not technically null, but like a part of his personality, basically.
Yeah.
I really like the cover, and I kind of wish the interior art was like the cover, because the artwork was great inside, but I was kind of expecting this and not the more realistic stuff that was in the book. I think that would be my only like biggest criticism, is I wish the cover was the interior artwork.
Yeah, I feel like it would have fit the aesthetic more, actually.
Big time. I mean, this is a little bit more raw, a little bit more rough, and I think that's probably another disconnect. Is like the interior art. It wasn't like Brooks, but it felt like Brooks. Like it was a lot more realistic. Yeah, and so you're right. Like the beginning 3 pages didn't match the artwork, and I think if it had been like this, if it had looked like the cover. Oh yeah, I mean that's like heavy metal right there. So that's Black Knight. I mean, it's a one-off, and they're getting us ready for the miniseries that's coming up after the Black Knight series, or King in Black tie-in is over, or the event. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I'm going to be reading that. We'll see when it comes out. But I believe it's the same writer and the same artist, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about this a little bit more in length, but this is my pick of the week, Return of the Valkyries. What I find funny about this, though, is that Sentry is not in this book at all. And the whole, I think the whole, literally says to save the soul of Sentry, and we don't even see him in this book. But basically what we get in this book is, our previous Valkyrie that we saved in the first issue, she is finally out of the void of the this head or bodiless or headless celestial. She was in this like alternate reality, not purgatory, not hell, not heaven, just not right. And so she was pulled out by Valkyrie, and they are in Valhalla, and they're kind of just enjoying the scenery. But Jane knows that she needs to use this unnamed Valkyrie in this fight because she's super powerful, and she's just essential to the fight. So we get two different quests in this book. We get the unnamed she's not named, right? The Valkyrie that we're talking about, she's not named.
I don't remember it.
I don't think they say her name.
So.
No, I don't think they say her name yet, because when someone asks her name in the first issue, she's like, I have no name, or she says something really like cryptic. But basically she's tasked to go find her weapon, which is an axe. So we get that part of the book, which is her going to find her axe. And the other part of the book is on Earth, and we get, which this is kind of why this is my pick of the week. We get a Danny Moonstar basically story of her fending off a symbiote dragon, and her actually connecting to Null and having a dialogue with Null through the dragon. I thought that was fantastic. I mean, it felt like a completely different comic, which is not a bad thing. But I feel like what really lifted this book up, outside of the little revelation we get in the book, is the Danny Moonstar part of the book. Like she kicked ass. Well, it's Mark.
Mhm.
She just, she's defending Earth, she's defending the city, she's defending it, she's defending people that have, that hate her, basically, humans that don't really enjoy mutants. And in the process of that, she calls out Noel. I thought this was the coolest part. She calls out Noel and basically says, "You're a lot more human than you think, with your desires and with your just overall shittiness," which I thought was really badass. And then the other thing that we get in this book, before our unnamed Valkyrie goes after her axe, we get a confirmation of something. So Century was being pulled into this void, between Earth and heaven, or Valhalla, whatever you want to call it. And he was being pulled into this, again, headless celestial body floating in the void. And we had speculated in the first issue that possibly could be the body of the current head of Nowhere that has been in plenty of Marvel books. So we spec'd on that. We said, we think that's what that is. Well, we get confirmation from Jason Aaron that when Noel was in the void and was essentially invaded by Celestials, he cut one of their heads off and then used the furnace with inside the head to create his Necro Blade. But it's now been basically confirmed in this issue that that head that's floating out in space is Nowhere, that Noel cut the head off, and that the body that's in the void is the Nowhere body. So I don't know if you call this a key.
No.
But you call it some confirmation,
Yeah.
Maybe
I definitely would say it's a. Yeah, you could call it a retcon. I definitely think it, just as a cosmic nerd, to me, it's a key to me, because it's a key of the history of this Celestial. I think it'd be really cool if this Celestial gets brought up again in like a Guardians book or something, and like it turns out that this Celestial was like, I don't know, one of the big badass ones that did a bunch of crazy shit, and now we see that his body, or its body, is being used in all these different ways.
Yeah, for sure. We basically got like a mini history lesson in this issue, and I really enjoyed it. I told Nate at the beginning of the show that, like, or prior to the show, that this week was it wasn't very heavy in the oh shit department. So for me, this was my pick of the week, solely because of the confirmation of Nowhere, and the heavy Danny Moonstar action in this book. I mean, she goes toe to toe with the symbiote dragon, and we saw the Avengers fall against those things. So she's holding her own, and we know that Danny Moonstar has a history with the Valkyrie. She is a Valkyrie, and so I'm really hoping that she becomes more prominent in this book. I think she will, but after this is over, they're writing another Valkyrie story, another miniseries. So hopefully Moonstar's in it. And so we end the story with Moonstar, or Jane Foster, basically coming to the rescue to Moonstar to like give her back up. So she's definitely going to be in the next issue. I believe this is a 4-parter. I think it's either 3 or 4. Either way, I really enjoyed it. Loved Venom, but to me this was a really fun tie-in issue. It's not the best one, but it's got some legs for sure. And the other thing I'll say is I feel like Jason Aaron is back to form in this book. Like, we're going to get into Avengers. That's going to be another book we're really going to dive into. But I just feel like Jason Aaron is very comfortable in this book. Like, he's hitting all the notes. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel rushed at all. Like, we're building the story. We're building the scene. Whereas in some of his other books, we're just like, and off to the next big event, and off to the next big event. And in this one, it just feels like he's at home. He's very comfortable at what he's writing. So. All right, Marauders. You talk. I want to see what you think about this book.
I don't think a lot about this book. It was an easy read. It wasn't too bad. It does more for, I think, more for the Krakoan story than it does for King in Black, which I'm okay with. But basically, we see the actual OG Marauders team: Iceman, Pyro, Kitty, Kate, and Bishop. They're basically tasked to go to New York and save Storm and Cyclops, who have been nullified essentially. And while they're on their way there, they get hailed from a sinking ship that's being attacked by Knoll dragons. So they stop to help, and just as they're about to leave this sinking ship, Bishop, I believe, discovers that there is actually entire cargo hold full of basically people being trafficked. And so it's like as the boat is sinking, so Iceman lifts it up out of the sea on ice. They get all the people out, and can't remember. They transport them to so they basically try to decide what they're going to do with basically these human traffickers. And they're like, hey, we were here to help you, and you're just going to let these people drown. And of course, the captain was going to be like, I didn't know they were on board.
Yeah. Well, like what was crazy about it is they asked him like, what's on the boat? And he's like, oh, it's just olive oil. Right. And then like Bishop heard Morse code, so he goes in and there's like hundreds of people in the bottom part of the boat, and he comes up and he's like, you're a fucking liar, like you were literally gonna kill all these people. And so yeah, they send him to like it's like the desert. There's something like the Saharan desert or something like that.
The Namib desert in South Africa. Yeah, they basically walk them through a couple of Krakoan portals and leave them in there. And at one point, the guy's like, "Are you not even gonna leave us water?" And Iceman drops some ice cubes on the ground. He's like, "Here, but yeah, you can take as much as you can carry," which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Then we get a really strange conclusion to all this. Basically, there's a woman named Nyoka who kind of is the de facto leader of this group of people, and it's like, listen, he says they're going to go drop them off in New Jersey before they go to New York, and she's like, no, you can't take us there. He was supposed to be taking us to Canada. Like, don't take us to America.
Don't take us to Jersey. Yeah,
I honestly can't blame them at this point. And so Kate basically has a telepathic conversation with Emma. It's like, listen, we've got refugees that we need something to do with. And so they end up taking them to Island M. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yep.
They end up taking them to Island M, which is the island that we see in the Magneto one-shot, the giant-sized Magneto. And basically, they decide that they're going to let them live there?
No. Well, yeah. They live there until from what I took from it, until King in Black is over, so that they can get them to Canada. Because everything is, which I don't quite understand that. It's like, well, why isn't the island of M not being absolutely destroyed by symbiote goo?
Well, there's not really anything there, right? It's not really anything being targeted. It's just like there wasn't anything in the desert either. There's not really anything there.
Yeah.
The one thing though, honestly, this issue was just sort of, wasn't terrible, wasn't great. Art was fine. Story was fast-paced and easy to read. One thing that I think was good was Magneto's last line. He's talking to Nyoka, and she's like, "Why are you letting us stay here?" Yada yada. He says, "When the emergency passes, you'll be moved from this island to the country of your choosing, with assistance by my government. But there's something that I want from you. Many stories will be written of Krakoa's might, but you may tell one of her mercy." So, this is obviously like Magneto. I think this is twofold. This is obviously like a story that Krakoa is good nation, but also this type of extending the hand from Magneto to humans specifically, I think is very much a growth statement about Magneto.
Yeah, I think the island of Krakoa has molded Magneto a little bit. I think it's shown him some compassion and he's seeing the inner workings of an actual nation, right? So he has a better understanding of what diplomacy is and what what it means to be one nation, right? You don't want to be a warring state. You want to be taken seriously, so you need to do certain things. The thing I will say about this issue, I agree with you 100% on everything else. Like, it was an okay issue. To me, what I appreciate about this is that it wasn't shoved in the middle of Marauders right now. It wasn't shoved in the middle of the run of Marauders.
100% agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if this had been like, oh, this is Marauders 18, I would have been like, what the fuck are we doing here? Because, we've established a storyline in the actual Marauders book, and I want to keep it that way. Like, I don't want, we go from, like, getting ready for the Hellfire Gala to, oh, we're on a boat and we're saving people from symbiotes. Like, that is the one thing I'm very appreciative of this issue, and I think they should do that outside of Daredevil, because I feel like Daredevil is kick-ass. Chip Zdarsky did it right. But
I will say that if there's anything to take away from this issue, that is the biggest point, because unless you feel confident enough and you're in a place where you can pull off a badass Chip Zdarsky move, just do this. And I'm sure that every writer, if they could, would do that.
Right. And I wonder what plays into that.
Yeah, me too. So props to whoever made that decision, whether it was Jerry Duggan or the editor of the current Marauders book. And, that editor was like, look, Jerry wrote you an awesome book. Doesn't fit with where our storyline is. Just make it a King in Black Marauders. Don't make it number 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever's decision that was a very good idea.
On point. So kudos. I need to learn my names. Who's the editor at Marvel? It's like let's see.
Like, you mean like the editor in chief?
Yeah.
Is it
CB
CB Cebulski, yeah.
Cebulski. Like, good call, bro. Good call.
Either him or
Wow.
whoever, like Jordan White, I guess, who was the editor of the Marauders book.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah,
whoever made that decision, kudos, man. Like, y'all killed it, because it definitely, it just feels. I love it, because I don't have to be like, I don't have to put it in my collection and be like, and this is literally a bookmark, because it just doesn't fit. Like, it's like you can skip this one. It's like a divider, but don't skip it. It's a good story, and it, like you said, the ramifications that are set in the book by Magneto. Is that going to come back and bite him in the ass? We don't know. Probably, because comics are not nice to people, and at some point, let me rephrase. The comics are not nice to the X-Men, and they have had a ton of good luck since Hickman took over, and at some point they will fall. Like, we know it's coming. It's just a matter of time. So, I mean, we literally know. Like, in his House and Powers, the 9th Life, it still ends with the mutants losing. So, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, overall, it was an okay tie-in, but kudos to making it a number 1 rather than just sticking it in the middle of the Marauders run. All right, we are done with our King in Black. We're jumping into our X books, which technically is our second X book of the week, as Jacob, made sure we knew. And we have Hellions number 9. This was fun. In true X fashion, I had to do some research on who certain characters were. We are.
Oh God.
We are introduced to some characters that, if you're not a well-versed X-Men reader, you have no idea who's in the front of this cover. And so what we get is this character Mastermind in the middle of a deal in the middle of a deal with Sinister. And we don't, we're literally thrown into the mix on this one. And basically they're something's going on. I think Sinister is plotting to take over Krakoa, essentially. I think that's what he's trying to do. And so he's invited Sinister. He's invited Mastermind to partake in the idea of doing something sinister. So what I did there. But before Sinister can really elaborate on his plan, he ends up getting poisoned by Mastermind and kidnapped. And so this book is basically them trying to find Sinister. And when the Hellions team is told that Sinister is missing by what's her name? Frick. It's
Sage.
Sage. When they're told by Sage that he's missing, she's expecting them to be like, "Oh no, let's go find him," and they all literally start laughing, like, "Ha, fucker he got kidnapped, sucker." And so it just shows that like they fucking hate Sinister, they can't stand him, and for good reason. The dude's killed them like twice, and like has literally used them as like toys. So they go at some point they get approval to go find him. And what's really odd about this issue is Sage's letter to the Quiet Council, basically telling them why they should go find Sinister, or like why it's approved for them to go find Sinister. And what's odd about it is she lies about their reaction. She lies about them, they're actually like sad and vengeful and want to go find him. And so I gotta wonder, is that Mastermind manipulating things, or what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's for sure what that is.
So Mastermind has cracked the Krakoan security code somehow, so that's yet again Krakoa is left with their pants down. And I just don't, that's the only thing I don't understand through this current X run is like, you would think that Krakoa would be more fortified from invasions and mutants that just have ill will towards it. But no, like people are able to get through Krakoa's defenses fairly easy. Yeah. And Mastermind does that. And so, what we get in this book is Mastermind's abilities are like turned up to 11, and we're really shown like how manipulative he is and how easily he can change your reality to the point where the group, the Hellions, go, for some reason they're like in a limo with Mastermind trying to find Sinister, and he like warps reality on them like 3 times, where like they're in a limo, then they're on a plane, then they're in a boat, or no, they're in a boat, then they're on a plane, and then they're falling from the plane, to the point where they all like fall to their death. Almost like they're all alive when they hit the ground, but they're not looking good.
Well, they probably were never actually falling. They thought they were.
Which is pretty fucked up. I can't imagine what your mind will do when you think you've broken your legs and arms. You know what I mean? Like, to feel that kind of pain. And the fact that Mastermind is capable of that is pretty damn crazy. So what we find out in this issue is Mastermind is in cahoots with Arcade, who is not a mutant, I believe. He's just a mercenary.
No.
And so they're trying to get a hold of, or they've captured Sinister, and they've captured, at the end of this issue, they've captured the Hellions. And so, the next issue is them dealing with Arcade. We'll see who's hired Arcade, who's hired Mastermind. I've got to assume it's Xenon or whatever that anti-mutant gang is. What is it?
Xenon, what?
Is it, or Zion, or what's the name of that group?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
They're in X-Force. They're the ones that fucked up Domino and captured Kid Omega.
I can't remember, but yeah.
Starts with an X. I don't know. Maybe it's them.
Xenon, I started thinking of Xenon from Space or whatever that Disney movie is.
Sure, whatever. It was her. It was a good. It wasn't. Again, it was an okay I'm interested to see where it goes, but it wasn't as good as some of the other Hellion books. I'll say that.
I am so disinterested in where this is going. So I have a little bit of like PTSD with Mastermind and Arcade.
Okay.
So they're really prominent bad guys in the second generation, or like the Giant Size X-Men run. You know, like that starts the second team basically.
Gotcha.
Mastermind's the one that basically causes Jean Grey to become the Dark Phoenix. He completely twists her mind. But I really hate Mastermind because he is a really, really, really lame and lazy to write. Because basically with Mastermind, you're like, hey, look, I can do this, anything I want, and kill everyone and chop people's heads off and pretend like they didn't exist. You're gonna be like, what? And then at the end of the issue, it's just Mastermind going, haha, tricked you. It's not real at all. And you're like, it's dumb. Like, he does it like 3 or 4 or 5 times within the first 10 years of X-Men. Like, there's that one point where Jean's been dead for years, and he all of a sudden, Jean, as the Dark Phoenix, starts attacking them in the training room, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Jean's back, and it's crazy, and we're all scared." And actually, it turns out Mastermind was just tricking us. And you're like, "Okay, this guy just wanted to draw Phoenix, and it's like, how can I do that? Oh, I know, I'll make Mastermind make her come back." It just, to me, it's lazy writing. I don't like it. I think he's a bad character. It's not funny. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Well, he's probably only around for like 2 issues, so.
And Arcade is even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Arcade shows up a ton of times in that original Uncanny run, and his issues are all like fucking clown, Coney Island style amusement park horror. Only it's not scary. It's like, here's this obstacle course I'm going to put you in, and if you don't, you're going to die. And then they all get out and they're like, screw you, Arcade, we're going to lock up. He's like, okay, you got me. Sorry, guys. It's terrible. I hate it.
Tell us how you really feel, Nate.
The fact that you put 2 of these characters in one book.
I'm out, so you're not reading Hellions anymore?
No, I'll read it, but I'll hate every minute of it.
All right, so that's Hellions number 9.
That's how I really feel.
X Factor 7. Dude, this was... So let me guess, this is your pick of the week?
No.
Oh, shit. Wow. I thought for sure, dude. It's got everything. This book has got everything, dude.
It does.
We've got romance. We got forbidden love. We've got murder mystery. Impalement.
Too.
So you were, comic book Herald, and you were correct. It was what's the name of the spirit? McFay or Morgan? The Morgan.
Yep.
It has infected Siren. Or not infected, it's possessed her. And this book is really complex. I'm going to try to describe it as best as I can, but basically what we get in this book is the plan that was set in motion in the previous book. If only it wasn't for those meddling kids. Correct, Maddie. Basically, what we get is Siren planted a block, basically a defense in Polaris, and making sure that nobody was able to figure out what she was doing. And so what we get in this book is basically a confirmation that either the spirit that is in Siren is trying to get out, or that Siren is trying to get it out with the current resurrection protocols, which is still kind of a mystery here. But I think the biggest part of this book, or the coolest part for me in this book, was Eye-Boy, and him being able to see that Polaris was lying every time Draken called in to tell them his trail on Siren. And the little subtleties in this book of like him, his vision surrounding Polaris, and like watching like her lips and her demeanor and like all that shit. I thought that was really cool. So this entire book, he's just like seeing that Polaris is lying, and he can't figure out why. And then they find out basically that she's been hypnotized by Siren to lie, so that she doesn't get trailed. And so, in doing this, our Wolverine's son, am I saying his name right? Draken.
Draken or Draken, I'm not sure which is right.
Draken is basically tailing her this entire issue, to the point where he's playing chase and he gets trapped, and she ends up beating the shit out of him, and then flying in the air with him and dropping him on a spike, like on a wooden stake, and it goes straight through his chest, and he almost dies. But when she does this, she basically tells him, like, nobody loves you, your friends hate you, you're a worthless piece of shit, and you're gonna die out here alone. And so we get our first insight to his inner demons and his vulnerabilities, and he almost bought into it. He almost bought into the fact that that nobody loves him, that everybody hates him, and that he's him trying to be a good guy is a waste of time. And so I really enjoyed this issue. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying I wasn't expecting this issue to be as heavy as it was. It was super heavy. Because we even have Draken and what's her name? The sister of the brother-sister duo. Aurora. They end up having some chemistry, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I like that North Star is kind of keeping tabs on them and making sure that they're not going to make out or whatever. But overall, the confirmation of the Morgan and not seeing Siren in this book was kind of crazy. You saw her cape or her foot flying out of frame, which I thought was pretty cool. I thought that was really neat storytelling. Wasn't a boy that thing you plugged at your would walk around and, what are you talking about? Anyway, the book basically ends, they find Draken, they're able to make sure that they actually don't, it looked like he was going to die, but because of his healing factor, they were able to bring him back and take him to the healing gardens. What was crazy about this book is when it ended, it seemed like everything was, that they were just going to try to find Siren. And I guess Draken fell asleep, and when he woke up, everybody in the X Factor headquarters was dead. Everybody's dead. And the two twins are actually in a one of those Celtic circle, and they're bloody, and their heads are together, and they've got flower wreaths over their heads, and it's to be continued. Just what?
Yeah, I actually was quite, as much as I loved this issue, I was actually quite disappointed with
the ending,
that final page, because I'm all for cliffhangers or stuff like that, especially in the comics. That's kind of the whole point. That's how you get back to the next issue. They want you to keep coming back. I get it, but it was so out of left field. It was completely non sequitur, no line up there whatsoever. It was just here's where we're going, here's the plot, here's the climax, here we're up, we're settling down, and all of a sudden, oh, here we are, and you're wait.
Yeah, definite time jump. Yeah,
and it just, to me, it was really jarring, and I just thought, for execution.
I think we're gonna have a WandaVision reaction to this book. And we're really like you said, you're kind of frustrated with how it ended. But in issue 8, I feel like it's going to be resolved to the point where you'll appreciate 7. I think so. You shake your head, but I think it's going to happen.
No, it won't, because no matter what happens in 8, it won't resolve the discontinuity that happened in this issue.
But what if they show the continuity in 8?
I don't care though. It still wasn't written correctly. This issue, as itself, just issue 7,
Uh huh.
was not ended correctly. It was not a perfectly written issue. That was a problem. No
Okay.
matter what happens after, it can't be fixed. And listen, this book was almost my pick of the week. I'm not dogging on it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
could have been done better.
Where this book was in issue 2 and 3, this is fantastic. Yeah, leave the Mojoverse alone. Let's continue to do this kind of stuff. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
We have to.
Yes, we do. We need. Well, I'll give you 2 reasons why we have to. 1, we pulled it, right? And 2, we need to have at least 2 to 3 segments that I pull from our main show to put on YouTube. So we gotta dive. We gotta dive deep. I'm sorry. So we had mentioned prior in Valkyrie, felt like Aaron was very comfortable in that universe. He's very comfortable in that story. And it almost felt like that in this book. Almost, right? We had a setup of all these fights that were going on. Shang-Chi versus Captain America. I can't list them all, but everyone's fighting each other. And we're getting this giant buildup. So essentially, I would say 95% of this book is battles between each hero trying to vie for the Phoenix Force, right? And I'll be honest with you, I thought those buildups, I was like, ooh, this is getting good. Like, who is it going to be? We got some decent battles. I'll be your Tracer. Okay. And it just, I felt like this issue was actually going somewhere because it almost felt like we were getting into like the semifinals of this tournament, right? We were getting more consequential battles. And I felt like the Captain America Shang-Chi battle, it really felt like we were going somewhere. Like maybe they're going to figure this out. Like this is how they're going to resolve it, right? And then literally, basically Cap was trying to get the Phoenix Force to pick Shang-Chi, right? To pick him because he's got the best. It seems like he's controlling the Phoenix Force the best out of everybody. It's not manipulating him as much as it is everybody else. And so there's this plan for Cap to get knocked out by Shang-Chi, and the minute it's about to happen, the Phoenix Force pulls him out, kicks Shang-Chi out, and it's like, no. You don't get to pick. You don't get to decide. I do. And when that happened, I was like, whoa, we're halfway through this book, and that shit happened? So, like, there's something serious is actually happening in Jason Aaron's run. Like, maybe there's going to be something cool here. And then the last part of this book starts, and we get basically all the Avengers that aren't in the tournament right now trying to tactfully take down the Phoenix, kick it out before it picks who the next Phoenix is going to be. And one of the Avengers that has not been called to the tournament is Thor. And so they basically go to attack the Phoenix Force, and they're laying blows and bang, bang, boom, boom. And we get an inner dialogue with Thor, and Thor's like, there's just something off within the heavens. I feel familiar with the Phoenix Force. And we're like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And he just feels, what did he say? Like, he almost felt like he was at home with it or something like that. Like, it was just a weird, something familiar.
He said it almost feels like some form of love.
Let me do my eye roll again.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Basically, oh god. So we get this little inner dialogue. He's fighting the Phoenix, but he's like, there's something off. Then we cut back to, again, our heroes, and everyone's rearranging the tournament to the point where, right before we go back to our last part of this book, Wolverine has accepted that he's going to be the Phoenix, right? And I can't tell if he's being corrupted again or if he's embracing the role of him actually becoming the Phoenix. But that was kind of weird. Like, we got the latter half of this book is Wolverine basically explaining to everybody why he deserves to be the Phoenix. And I also, again, side note, Aaron is he's really hinting at the fact that there is going to be a war with Krakoa and the Avengers at some point, because he comes back to Wolverine in the middle of the book and basically he's like, I don't want any of y'all to get the Force, the Phoenix Force. It's Krakoa's right. Like there's definitely some angst between the two, and I think the next big event is going to be Krakoa taking on the rest of the world, which again we know that's already been done. Yeah, but I just see it coming. I think it's coming. I'm just giving a heads up now. You heard it here first. There's going to be another like Krakoa nation versus everybody, including the Avengers. It's Avengers versus the X-Men Part 2. It's coming, dude. I'm telling you. Anyway,
It'll be Part 3.
Oh, was it Part 3? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Part 3.
You had one in the 80s and then in 2012.
Yep. So we cut back to Thor, and Thor's getting ready to lay the final blow on the Phoenix Force. And poof, the original, the prime prehistoric time Phoenix shows up and goes, "Stop! Do not hit me, bro. I have something to tell you, dude. You're my son, bro." And basically the Phoenix Force is like, "Hey, your dad's been lying to you. I'm your mama." And that's how this issue ends. It ends with the Phoenix Force basically saying that Thor's real mom is the prime what's the word? I just said it. Old time. What is the word? Primitive? Not primitive.
Primordial.
Primordial. There we go. Is the primordial Phoenix. Like Odin and primordial Phoenix did the nasty and had Thor. That is how this book ends. I don't like it.
What did we determine? Is this mom number 3 or mom number 4?
I believe it's mom number. My calculation, it is mom number 3.
Okay. So we've got Gaia, who's his Earth mama.
Mm-hmm.
We got
like quite literally the Earth, right?
She's the goddess of Earth, of the Earth, but like Era, like the ground, like dirt.
Let me ask you. Let me. All right, before you keep going, let's go in order. Who was his original mom prior to this run?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Gaia.
Okay.
I think his Asgardian mom is always not been his birth mother.
Didn't know that. I don't know, dude.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know for sure.
Who is Thor's mom?
So it's, maybe we just don't.
We're about to dive deep here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who it's supposed to be.
Okay, either way, so he has an Asgardian mom, he has a goddess of the Earth mom, and now the Phoenix Force is his mom. And I don't know. I clearly don't like it. It's clearly bothering me, right? But at the same time, it's like, what is going on? Like, why are we continuously retconning Thor? And I sound like a Comic Gate dude. I don't want to, like, but to me, it didn't. I think the reason why I don't like it, I could give two shits. Thor can have 6 moms. I don't care. Go for it. I don't care. But the problem I have is that the book was literally going in this direction, right? And I was like, oh wait, we're really gonna find out where this tournament is going. And then it was like, oh wait, Thor, mom. He's got 3 moms, and it just it completely threw the direction of the book off. It was like, we're not. It's like he didn't want to resolve the tournament, so let's throw in this. Oh, by the way, the Phoenix Force is Thor's mom, and it came out of nowhere. Maybe that's the theme of this week. Like, multiple books are just like, hey, we're going this direction, and then literally jump cut to something that almost feels like it doesn't belong in the story. And I mean, later on down the road, this might be important within the Jason Aaron run, but Jesus Christ, like I was getting it. Like, we're part 3 into this Enter the Phoenix, and I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of getting into this a little bit. And then it just a complete 180 with a character that we haven't even been dealing with within this current event. And it just threw me off. Like, and then on top of that, is Donny Cates going to deal with this? Like, if this is real, like, that's the other thing we haven't said. This could be fake. This could be the Phoenix Force just fucking with Thor to gain an upper hand. That's the other thing that we need to kind of step back and say, well, it's possible that it's lying to Thor, and that it's not really his mom, and she's just distracting him so that she can kill him later. That's possible.
Right, exactly.
But I just don't feel like Aaron would do that. I don't know. I could be wrong.
So I figured it out, by the way. It was established in 1971 in King Size Annual number 4. Gaia is his birth mother.
Okay.
Odin wanted a son that would eventually be the protector of Midgard, to be half Asgardian and half Midgardian. So Gaia is his mother, who gave birth to him. He then took Thor right away to Midgard, where Freya who is Odin's married wife at the time, raised him as his mother for the rest of for his whole life. So Gaia gave birth to him. Freya is his
adopted mother.
Parental adopted mother.
Gotcha. And then now, maybe not.
Now the Phoenix Force is saying that, that her, she's not technically her. I guess that's trying to say the Avatar from, this old Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
We'll see what happens, but I just felt like this book was literally going in one direction, and then, like a Tron light cycle, Aaron just was like, bing, and we just went a completely different direction. And so we'll just have to see where it goes. Like, to be honest, like, I know, like, you weren't super thrilled when this got announced, and I was kind of like, well, I haven't really dabbled in the Phoenix Force, so I'm kind of excited. And now it's literally happening what we said. The beginning of this event was like, woo, grandiose, and now it's kind of going like, and we're shrinking down to this one little issue. And will it have consequence, or is it just a big lie? We'll have to find out. But come on, man. Like, I feel like from when was Starbrand? When was that established? Like when they went to go get the baby in space?
20s, late 20s.
Late 20s. Maybe? Yeah, so that's perfect. So I feel like from issue 1 to 25, this run was somewhat coherent. And then from that point on, it's just been like jumping and jumping and jumping to the next event. And it doesn't feel it that's my ultimate criticism of right now this Avengers run, is it just feels like we're just hopping, like even hopping through time, and it's like he ran out of ideas and he's just like plug and play and see where we're gonna go next. And I hope I'm wrong, because I hate sounding like that, but it's incredibly frustrating. And this to me, like, I literally called you and was like, we need to talk right now. Like, I don't want to wait. I want to wait for the show. We need to talk this out, because I don't know what the hell's going on. So
yeah.
And man, come on. I want it to be better.
Agreed.
Strange Academy, number 8. This was a fun... Say what?
I said something that was better.
Something was that better, yes. So we get the ramifications of the previous issue, which was Emily... Or Emma? Is it Emma or Emily? I think it's Emily. Emily was able to resurrect Doyle Dormammu with a kiss.
A little smooch.
Just a little kiss. And so we get that. We get basically in this issue we get Doyle going to therapy or going to see a counselor to basically resolve his issue of him dying and if he really wanted to stay dead or if he's glad that he's alive. So that's pretty deep. And then we also get in this book Emily basically getting a ring that is created from Doyle to keep in check some of the dark magic that she was infused with from the previous issue. So there's more connection between the two, which I thought was pretty neat. But what we also get in this book is we get a little bit more... the one thing I liked about this book is after she gets the ring, she like dorks out in front of Thor. Like Thor shows up with Strange and is like, "I need your assistance," and she's like, she can't talk because she's meeting Thor. And he's like, "It's your time. That's your cue to leave. Like, get the hell out of here." And so when she leaves, Strange is like, "Hey, take the 2 doors down, then to the left, and you'll be back out." And she stumbles again upon Strange's basement, which there's this voice talking to her and essentially telling her, like, why do you trust magic? Why do you trust sorcery? And why do you trust Doctor Strange? I have my thoughts and theories on who that is behind the door. I'm not going to say them.
Ooh.
I'm not saying them.
Oh,
I'm saying,
why would you not? Why?
Why
Why would you not?
I'm not saying it. Not saying it.
Are you saying that you know who it is and you don't want to spoil it?
No, I'm just guessing.
Then who? Who do you think it is? How is
I
that
think it's
spoil
Mephisto.
Wait. Okay. What? Where is he supposed to be right now?
Well, so the last time we saw Mephisto in Marvel Comics
still
prior...
Locked in Las Vegas?
No, he was broken out of jail by King of Hell, Ghost Rider, and then that series abruptly ended with him. They were going to I forget where they were going, but the issue ended with him like dragging him across the U.S. and then they canceled the series. So I think it's Mephisto. We'll see, but he's tempting her, but not in a overly aggressive way, which is really odd. Like he's kind of just letting it glow. Like it's a slow burn for him. Like he's slowly trying to get at her. And so they have a dialogue and then she gets distracted by a classmate. The issue is split between Emily kind of doing her thing and the rest of the class going to space to find a magical relic that Rocket and Groot lost. And
oh yeah. I love that cameo.
Yeah, and so they're off on another planet trying to find this item, and then she ends up getting a call from one of them saying like, "Hey, we need your help because we're literally being eaten alive by these bird monsters." And so the issue ends with her teleporting them back to Earth. I don't think they end up finding the relic. And it abruptly ends, but not to the point where I was upset about it. It was just like, hey, here's a couple more seeds. We answered a couple of your questions, but then there's 8 more in this issue. And I can't stress this enough. I think Strange Academy is prime for Disney Plus. Get the people that animated Big Hero 6 with Disney and to do this, and you got a fucking winner, bro. This would be a perfect animated television series for Disney Plus, even if it's 10 episodes, whatever. I think they could do a really or make it into a movie series. I just think, with the What If series coming out for Disney Plus, which is all 3D, they could do this with that kind of animation for this comic. I think it's prime, super prime.
Yeah, I want at least 2 years of organic stories before it starts getting meddled with in any sort of television, though.
Oh, I'm not saying right now, but
I just want Scotty Young to be able to tell his story without being influenced by Kevin Feige.
Yeah, well, and I'm not saying right now, but I just think if you have this, if you picked up this original #1 and you still have it, put it in a Mylar and just put it away and just remember you have it, so that when it gets announced, because I think it's going to happen. Strange Academy, if you're not reading Strange Academy, you definitely need to pick it up. It's really fun. It's literally Marvel meets Harry Potter. So unless you're not like, no, just do it. Just read this book. It's really fun.
Just do it.
All right. I'm not going to talk about what happened in this book. I want to talk about the controversy that happened in this book. No, I do. Because there was clearly a breakdown with editors and with artists. And, the public perception right now, I believe, is it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. But it was still a pretty shitty mistake. But the quick rundown on this is the Hulk is hiding within Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit is doing what he does best, which is lie, steal, and cheat. And he's in New York City, and he's trying to figure out a way to continue to hide the Hulk and hide himself so that they don't get caught by this new Alpha Flight group, which we see on the cover. To the point where he steals somebody's purse or wallet and gets a credit card and immediately goes and buys, jewelry to pawn off at a store and, just continue to make cash and continue to lay low a little bit. And then towards the end of the issue, a teenager that's wearing a Hulk gang hoodie gets stopped by the cops. And so initially he wasn't going to do anything about it, but then he ends up, the Hulk inside of him is like, you need to do something. Like, this kid's getting harassed. Like, you need to step in. So he turns into the Hulk. He saves the kid. And right before he can land the crushing blow, our team shows up and literally obliterates him. And that's how the issue ends. Is they're like, hey, we're taking you in, and we're literally going to turn you into soup. And so that's how the issue ends. Now on to the controversy, which the controversy in this book completely flew over my head until you texted me about it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Essentially, during that scene with him pawning off or buying jewelry, he bought jewelry at a store that was owned by a Jewish family. And the way it was written on the window, you were looking at it backwards, it didn't read jewelry, it read Jewry. And then it had a Star of David on the window. And so it's implying, those typical tones, racial tones that are just bullshit. And it was just it was a bad portrayal. It was just a poor choice. and people are trying to figure out if he did it on purpose. Was he being anti-Semitic, the artist, Bennett, or was it just a mistake? And so Bennett came out today, I believe, or yesterday, maybe it was yesterday, and apologized and said it was my bad. It was poor judgment. It wasn't on purpose. In the sense of the spelling on the window, it didn't work. He wrote it backwards. He misspelled it. But the use of the Star of David, I think, is probably the more being debated as we speak right now amongst, the comic book community and Marvel in general. Just kind of what were you thinking there, bud?
Yeah, so I'm still kind of torn on how I feel about it too, because his first initial explanation was that it's supposed to be the reflection or the outer side of a store window, and so all of those letters he's essentially drawing them backwards. He says, that's not a normal thing to do. You can mess that up. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And there's another word on top of that is misspelled as well. He was trying to put the name as an homage to some horror writer. I don't remember his name, but he put an N instead of an M, or an M instead of an N. I don't remember which one, but
yeah,
that was messed up as well. Sounds totally plausible. The issue is, it also sounds like something. It almost seems too plausible. Like, I'm going to put this in there, and if I get caught, here's a really easy way to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
that's a really odd thing to do. The risk to his career, I think, on this makes it, to me, if I'm gonna make a judgment decision, I'm gonna go ahead and give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say it was not on purpose.
Mm.
I just don't see. Um, I just don't see the benefit of being that full of hate and risking your whole career just to try to slide something in. Doesn't make sense. However, Maddie is right. The thing that makes it the hardest to get past is Maddie says, I could understand the misspelling while drawing backwards, but the Star of David. And that's exactly right.
Yep.
Even if the word wasn't there, even if the jewelry misspelling, even if that wasn't even in the book at all, just putting a Star of David on the front of a jewelry store, I think, is still questionable ethically. It's not necessary to prove your point. Everyone understands he's in a jewelry store. That Star of David on the sign doesn't help you understand more.
Right.
He's in a jewelry store, and so it's really difficult. I honestly think that it does warrant a little bit of an audit on Joe Bennett, on his work in general, and maybe his past. It's not just on Joe Bennett, right? Like,
no,
there are editors on books for a reason. Like, this is the very exact perfect example of what you were being paid to catch. This is to me 101.
Yeah.
First thing you should be doing is there anything in here that is offensive? Number 2, does this fit continuity? 3, whatever else. But number 1 job you should be doing is is my artist being a dick and drawing naked chicks in the background, or writing little curse words in the clouds, or doing bullshit like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. As an editor, this has just got to be. You got to take blame for this too. You're totally in on this.
And I know that Marvel made a statement, but I agree. They probably have more. They obviously have more than one set of eyes editing this book. And I guess for me is just I guess I'm not saying I'm naive, but why? Why did you do it? What were you thinking? How do you justify it in your mind for doing that? And I think that's what in my mind, that's what I want answered is, why did you think this was a good idea? It just doesn't make any damn sense. And I'm not saying I wonder what Ewing thinks, because I got to assume he sees it too. He's got to see Dex, you know what I mean? He's got to be able to see, almost finished product before it goes, you know what I mean? I would assume. So I don't know. I don't get it. When you brought it up and I finally saw it, I'm I just don't get it. Maddie says if they don't have more than one set of eyes, they need more. Yeah, no, I agree. And there are you have an editor in chief, but then there are multiple editors on the book. I don't know. It's really weird to me. When this came out, I saw the headline and was I don't know what that is. And I literally looked and I didn't see it because I thought the controversy was on an actual character, on Joe Fixit. He was drawn a certain way that was offensive. So to see that it was even deeper within the book, you really needed to scan it to really see the controversy is just, I think, even shadier. So it's kind of what are you doing, man? We'll see where this goes. There's only 7 issues left in this run. So it's almost over. And then you were saying people are scalping the book now because Marvel's going to go in and edit. Bennett's going to go in and edit it. So any collected edition, any second print, any digital edition will not have this mistake. So if you do have this book, unfortunately, yeah.
I think if you try to profit off of misgivings of an accidental or intentional racist, then you're kind of
I'm not saying
yourself.
Yeah, I agree, but I remember, I think there was another issue that I was talking to Ron about. I can't remember what it was in. it was another Marvel book, and it had something that was very offensive in the book, and it got caught. But then there was spec on it. Like, there were people that were trying to buy the book because of its rarity, in the sense that it was being pulled. That's what it was. The book itself was being pulled because there was something offensive in it. So like the low copy of the book,
Right.
drove the price up. So there's probably potential, like you said, there's potential for this book for that to happen in this book as well. Like,
For sure.
there will be people that are trying to collect this book because of the offensive nature of the book and the fact that it's going to be edited. So, it's, I go back to, again, why did you do this? Like, outside of like talking about actual social issues and like trying to get people to understand and or educate themselves of social injustices is one thing. Like, that's great. Like, I love that when that happens in comics. But when you actively try to put a symbol of hate in a book and then you're like, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to do that. Like you said, it just seems a little suspect. It goes back to the writer for me. But I don't do comics like y'all. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird, I go back to, again, like, why did you do it? What were you thinking? Like, or were you not thinking at all? No, it feels like you were thinking something.
Right.
So hopefully this doesn't, this could overshadow Ewing's entire run, which has been, as of right now, been going really well. Like, people really love this run. So hopefully this, we'll see. This might derail it. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know that it's gonna.
Well, we'll see.
I certainly hope not.
No, absolutely not. All right, let's get into some Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Really enjoying this run.
Yep.
I think what I like about it most is it's not like Bounty Hunters. Like, I literally hold all my Star Wars books that I read to Bounty Hunters, and in that book you literally needed an encyclopedia to understand what the hell was going on in it. And in this one, we have a coworker that was like, explain to me, or he said, what did he say? He said, describe or review this book in 2 words, or current, like.
Yeah.
And for me,
So dumb.
Mark, if you're watching, sorry, but for me,
that's so dumb. So dumb.
For me, the way I would, if I were to critique the book that way, it would be perfectly balanced. You've got humor, you've got history, you've got establishing the story, and I think it just has a little bit of something for everybody. Like, you don't have to be overly knowledgeable about Star Wars to understand this book, but you also can, right? You also can be reading the other material that's connected to this comic book and be even more incited into what's going on in the book. And I'm going to let you describe or, review what's going on in the book, but I'll just say this. What I love the most about this book is showing the vulnerability of Jedi. Before this comic, and I'm more speaking to the movies rather than the books, we kind of look at Jedi as these like mystic, unbeatable knights, right? That are flawless. And in this book, it just, to me, Jedi are presented with weakness and with misjudgments and with hesitancy. And I think that's what I like the most. Like, I don't know the name of the character that's on the front, but Skier. Like, I just like the fact that in this book, Jedi are not this unfallible character. They've got flaws. They deal with their demons, and it's not just like, oh, I'm already a Jedi, so I don't deal with that shit. No, like, everybody's dealing with it. So, and to me, that's why I like this series. So.
Yes, I completely agree. So the one thing about this particular comic that I really enjoyed too is to piggyback what you're saying with Bounty Hunters, but like the pacing is really good. Bounty Hunters, I felt like I wasn't really worried about understanding like who everyone was or what what places we were at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I did understand those things because I didn't, but the thing I hated most about it was that it just felt like it was like so fast. Like you couldn't possibly keep like. I understand it's a book, comic book. You're reading it. You can put your own pace, but it's like it was just go 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 the entire time, and it wasn't. There's very little structural dialogue. It I don't know. It just it felt so fast. Whereas this, I feel like really does a great job of pacing. It speeds up when it needs to. It slows down when it needs to. It holds those subtle moments of suspense. So I think that's why this comic so far, we're only 2 issues in, but I think that's what it's doing really well.
No, for sure.
I also am really interested. I want to talk about more about the novel tie-in when we get to the next book. But I am really excited again to see more tie-ins to the novel, and just seeing that this is a overall living and cohesive continuity. It seems like everything is actually being thought out and planned, which is really nice. Everyone's on the same page and not just throwing shit at a wall and then saying, "Hey, director guy, you do some shit." No, now you do some shit. No, that shit was bad. You do shit again, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
So, I'm very excited to see some of the events that are in the book, such as Skier losing his arm, have ramifications in the comic book. Yet at the same time, you don't need to have read that book to understand Skier's plight. You just did an amazing explanation of exactly what's going on with Skier, and you haven't touched the book.
Yeah.
So like you're not missing out on anything. If anything, it's just like, hey, you want more rich history? Read the book. If
right.
I think cool with the comics. Chill with the comics. You won't.
Yeah,
miss out.
I think that's the beauty of this is like the fact that now. I mean, I knew that there was a book, but now that like I'm 2 issues in, and then you're talking about it, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go get the book. Like that is just very tactful writing to get to the point where like, you know what? I want to dive deeper, just like our X books. And I'm not saying like this week's X books, but like in general, X books make you want to dive deeper into the lore of what you're reading. And so like kudos to Marvel, kudos to Star Wars for creating multiple mediums for you to get involved into what's going on. So like if you're only reading the book and then you're like, oh, there's a comic, well, maybe I should pick that up just to see how that plays out even more. And I'll ask you this. So is the group that they fight in this book that they reveal in this book the Nil or Nai?
Are you talking about the one person that they fight on the ship that Skier fights?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I don't know how to say it either. The Nihil or Nihil. It's Nihil. I'm not sure the correct pronunciation is, but yes, it is assumed that is who that is, or that he is a member, or that person is a member of the Nihil.
Yeah, I want more of them. That was cool when they popped up. Like,
it's dope. Funny you should mention more of them.
Okay. So let's just go right into the next book. Nate picked this up. I didn't because I have a budget. So lay it on us.
So this is our last book of the week, and so by default, you now know that this is my pick of the week.
Pick of the week. Okay.
So IDW has been releasing some Star Wars adventure books for a few years now.
Yep.
And I always kind of passed up on them just because they're marketed as being more towards for children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, I'm not a child, and that's not really that interested.
I'm not a child.
Wait. So am I to understand there's a Jedi called Skeeter? No, that would be better. His name is Skier, and I will put it here in the chat for you because the spelling is quite funny. His name is Skier. He's Tandoshan. Is that how you say it? Tandoshan or Tandoshan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. So they have double consonants often in their names. So that's why I kind of avoided those books. However, because I enjoyed, I'm not finished with the novel yet, but I'm really enjoying it. I enjoyed that first issue of High Republic, and I was just like, need to have the second issue, or I mean another. Like I want more. I want more High Republic.
Yeah.
Stuff is awesome. So I picked it up, and right away, literally the first page, I was hooked. I was like, "Yep, this was the best decision I made this week. Like this is exactly what I needed."
Not those two books behind you. That's not your best. Those aren't your best decision.
Okay, those are, but
okay, sorry.
That,
sorry.
So a really quick. I need to give you like a really quick snippet of the novel for you to be able to understand my excitement.
Let's do it.
There is an event in the novel, and it's very generalized. It's not a spoiler. It's an event called the Great Disaster. It's been referred to in the other two High Republic comics as well. Basically, what happens is a ship in hyperspace, something happens to it, and it starts to fall apart. It breaks up into a million pieces. And those pieces fall out of hyperspace and into real space. And they're basically flying at the speed of light. Like almost as fast as you possibly can. They're entire chunks of a ship. Some of them are this big, and some of them are, hundreds of yards long. And there's no way to tell when they're going to appear because they just come ripping out of the hyperstream. And sometimes they just go flying out into space and hit nothing. And sometimes they're aimed directly for planets, which is exactly what we see at the very first issue. And I think this is a great example, so I'm just going to show the panel, see if you can see that or not.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah. And they just appear out of nowhere. And you look up and you're like, shit, that's coming right for me. We got to evacuate.
Abba dead.
And so, also, this is totally on a personal note, but one of my favorite alien races in Star Wars is the Dugs. That's what they're called. Do you remember Sebulba from Episode 1?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I love those guys.
Like the monkey horse-looking guy?
Yes, where they walk on their hands and their back feet are actually in the air as they walk, and they walk on their hands like this.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just really like them. I think they're funny. There's one of those on the first page.
You have a Doug fetish, don't you?
Yeah, that's what it is. So basically the premise of this story is, and you might get a little frustrated by this, which I understand, but the premise of this is a ship full of young Padawan trainees are en route to basically like a field trip with two Jedi Masters, one of them being Yoda. And while they are flying through a particular star system, sorry, my camera's delayed, so I just now saw that.
You're fine.
And so while they're flying through the star system, they get an SOS alert essentially of one of these cities that's got parts raining down on their planet. They're like, God, you got to come save us.
Yep.
And so this group of Padawans, this entire ship full of Padawans and Yoda and this other guy, I don't remember his name, but they land on the planet and start helping everybody. But the main narrative is focused around two young girls, one a young Padawan and her sort of trying to find her place, and the other one a young alien girl from that planet who basically is giving you a quick narrative of the planet. He says, I used to always get these feelings of like a stirring, like something calling my name. And the elders say it's the Force, and they say that we're not allowed, we have to ignore the Force at all costs. That is, there are these people called Jedi, and they use it, but we aren't the Jedi, and you can't use it, and you gotta. Sorry, I just read Matt's comment.
Says, yeah,
the Dugs are my favorite alien race at work too. No,
we have
Dugs like DUG. Anyway, and it's their stories are very being purposely mirrored throughout the issue. But you can tell that this girl is like, she's definitely force sensitive. Like there's a lot going on there, even though she's not trained. And so while the parts are raining down on the planet, all of a sudden this really crazy looking spider ship comes and lands as well. And out pop a bunch of Neil or Nihil or whatever. And they were in the area too, and there's a guy there that they want to make sure he's not going to die. It's like the main elder of the city on this planet. And right as they're trying to get him, he's like, "No, please help me save some of my young children. Let them come with us." And they're like, "Nope, we're just here for you. Everyone else, welcome to Armageddon," is I think what one of the guys says.
Shit.
And just at that same time, the young Padawan girl that we've been getting narrated from walks up and is like, "Hey guys, sorry, but we're gonna have to take your ship so we can save some people." And they're like, "Yeah, no way." And she's like, "Actually, we weren't asking." And so they start fighting, and at one point a big giant piece is almost about to smash everybody, and the young alien girl who has no formal training is just like, no, and she stops the piece from smashing them. Or she slows it down, and it's almost still going to smash them, and then all the Padawans together get behind her and they help push it away. It's not
teamwork.
like she's super trained or anything. Yeah.
But while they're doing that, and while they keep saving, basically all the Padawans and the Nihil from being smashed by this piece, the Nihil have now moved into formation to completely surround all the Padawans, and they're like, "Well, you are in your you're in the trap now. Like, let's kill them," or something like that. So that's it. That's the issue. But it was it was a fun issue. Again, it was a great mixture of action, of world building. It had things that were tied into the books again. That if you had read the books, you're getting a little extra. If you hadn't, no big deal. Like you don't need to know that little back history of the Great Disaster. It tells you a little bit in the front about like what's happening.
Right.
But it's just that much richer having that knowledge. However, the one thing, and this is just an extra, if this is your thing, it's very hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that we have the first cameo appearance of Martian Rowe, who is the leader of the Nihil. He's the one that shouts "kill them all," and it looks a lot like him, or the way he's described in the books.
Interesting.
So, could have a key here as well.
Yeah, I probably can't get my hands on it. So
the fact that it wasn't, honestly, like I don't even understand how this is geared towards kids, because it actually had more action in it than
the actual title.
That one maybe was technically a little violent since Skier got upset and kept hacking at the dead body.
Yeah.
But this one had more lightsabers in it and more fighting and more blaster bolts, and it exceeded my expectations by landslide. And just after having these two issues and reading like 3 or 4 chapters all yesterday, all back to back to back,
I'm
just so excited about this era of Star Wars.
Just a culminated. That's pretty dope. All right, well, that sounds awesome. I guess I need to go to Ron Start tomorrow and pick it up if he still has one. Probably doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is our our polls for the week. Again, just a little reminder: we will have this link set up on our Twitch page and on all our socials to subscribe to our Two Fat Guys Pool List Mystery Pool. $35, $7 shipping. You get 1 store exclusive, 4 to 7 back issues, and a chance to win this week or this month, the month of February, issue number 9 of Venom. First appearance of Dylan Brock, and then if we get to 50 subscribers, the big boy, Venom number 3. First appearance of Null, hot book right now. But yeah, that is we will have we should have that link soon to Brainy Comics. So anybody that wants to subscribe to that pull list, you can get it there. real quick, we're gonna run through our pull list for next week, and then we will be done for the night.
Yes.
Go watch. I'm gonna go watch WandaVision again with my wife because she has not seen it yet.
So good.
Yeah, it is really good. Maddie, you need to go see it.
Julie's watched it.
No, he says, "Let's go, WandaVision, bitches." All right. So we have Spider-Man 59. Get ready for me to be like, "What the fuck is going on in this book?" Daredevil 27. That'll probably be my pick of the week. Eternals number 2. That might be my pick of the week too. My wife. Yep. Excalibur 18. I'm actually really excited for Excalibur 18, just to see like where we're going. To really see if our little speculation of what's going on, if it's Queen Betsy that's in our reality and not the Betsy we know. I hope, cross our fingers, that that's the case. Tie-in, Fantastic Four 29, King in Black. They did not go the route of just making a one-off, so let's see what happens.
They just finished an arc, so it is a good timing for that.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Detective Comics, we're not doing this one, so whatever. Green Lantern, not doing this one. Black Panther number 1. So this is the same route. It is a number 1. I believe it's the only one, so that should be fun. Thunderbolts number 2. We both really enjoyed Thunderbolts number 1, so see where this is.
You were shitting on it. What are you
Hold
talking
on,
about,
hold on. We both enjoyed it. Hold on, let me finish. We both enjoyed it, but Nathan enjoyed it a lot more, and I liked the artwork, but I didn't like the story.
You shat on it.
Origins number 5. Rorschach number 5. We might get a Dr. Manhattan sighting again. Sword number 3. This also could potentially be my pick of the week. I'm really digging what Ewing is doing in Sword. Wolverine number 3. Black, White, and Blood. Should be fun. And then X-Force number 17 always is the best artwork during the week when this book comes up. So no Donny Cates next week, so that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, where's Thor? When are we getting a Thor again? Jesus. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Anyway, do you have any other books?
Yes, I have Undiscovered Country number 12.
Okay. So in total, we'll probably have 13 books next week, so pretty similar size show like last week, like this week. So looks like there's some bangers in there. We'll see what happens. Just have to wait and see. Either way, guys. Again, appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for everybody that's commented. Maddie, we do so appreciate you being in our chat. You do liven up our show. You're just that sprinkle that we need.
True.
Yet again. Please go support your local comic book shop. Go buy some comics. And while you're out, please wear a mask. Wear 2 masks. I don't care. Wear 3. Just be safe while you do it. But always go support local businesses. Go read some comics. Go buy some D&D books, models. Do you? Of course we do, Matt. Don't ever, ever question us not enjoying your presence on the show. You literally are the sprinkles to our cupcake. You just make it better. So don't question that, please.
Don't give us
Either way, guys, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys. Oh, one reminder. We will not have a show on Friday next Friday. We're going to reschedule it for Sunday. So next week, we will have our show on Valentine's Day at 8 o'clock. So be prepared for that. There will be no show on Friday. So as always, read comics, wear a mask, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.
Peace.